Happy May. I'm about to let y'all know which days are going to be stressful, productive, good for communication, best for self-care, etc. And that's not just going to be based on the transits, but I'm also going to break down major transits that are happening in May that have started already but are really going to affect us from today when I'm filming, May 13th onward. And I'm also going to let you guys in on an extra reading you can access if you're into astrology like that. The extended reading for a collab that I have coming out in a couple of days will be purely astrology and tarot mixed, and the one that you'll be able to see here on YouTube if I decide to post this for everyone on YouTube or on Patreon. So go ahead and check that out. Stay tuned because I'm going to break it down for you. Thanks for choosing to move with the sky. My name is Jay. Welcome to Planet Jay, and come back if this is your first time, and if you're a loyal subscriber, thank you so much for being here. Here's the rundown for May 2026. On May 1st, full moon in Scorpio at 11 degrees. May 2nd, Mercury enters Taurus. May 6th, Pluto Retrograde in Aquarius begins and continues up until October 15th, 2026. May 9th, last quarter moon in Aquarius at 19 degrees. May 16th, Taurus New Moon. May 17th, Mercury enters Gemini. May 18th, Mars enters Taurus. On that same day, Venus enters Cancer. May 20th, the Sun enters Gemini, starting Gemini season. May 23rd, first quarter moon in Virgo at 2 degrees. And May 31st, full moon in Sagittarius at 9 degrees. May 2026 feels like a transition month between emotional intensity, mental acceleration, and physical reality checks. The month starts in deep water and ends in fire, literally with the elements being shown in the zodiac signs highlighted. You're also going to be moving from the Scorpio full moon on May 1st, which is bringing truths, into Gemini season starting on the 20th, where things start to pick up very quickly. That means people begin feeling emotionally exposed, psychologically aware, and highly reactive. By the second half of the month, things speed up socially, mentally, and physically. This is one of those months where hidden emotions surface first, decisions become more obvious later. And by the end of May, people are acting on what they can no longer ignore. The month is heavily fixed sign activated early on. Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo, but Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius very much so. So themes such as control, resistance, security, attachment, money, survival, stability, trust, and stubbornness become major. Then Gemini season, the 20th of May, changes the tone completely. There's more movement, more conversations. That means more information, perhaps more travel, mental overstimulation, or announcements. So May is realization energy, especially because Pluto stations retrograde this month on the 6th as well in Aquarius. Here are the most important transits of May 2026. We have the full moon in Scorpio at 11 degrees, which was on the 1st, and this opened the month up in an emotionally intense way. Scorpio full moons especially expose secrets, emotional resentments that are building up or have been there for a while, trust issues, any sort of obsession or attachment, as well as power struggles and emotional avoidance. But at 11 degrees, it is highly psychological. People may even realize what they actually want, what they're emotionally exhausted by, where they've been pretending to be okay, or where fear has been controlling their decisions. Now, fixed signs or fixed placements are most affected. That is Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo, especially if you have any of those placements from 8 to 14 degrees. This full moon on the 1st is less about dramatic endings and more about emotional truth becoming impossible to ignore with it being in Scorpio. On May 2nd, Mercury entered Taurus, and after the Scorpio full moon's intensity, Mercury in Taurus actually slows things down for us mentally. People are now thinking slower, and maybe they're being a bit more intentional. Now, this favors financial planning, practical decisions, budgeting, realistic conversations, stabilizing schedules, as well as long term thinking. But it can also increase stubbornness, fixed opinions, and resistance to change. So, this is the part of May where people stop reacting emotionally and start asking themselves what actually makes sense for me long term. On May 6th at 11:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 3:34 p.m. UTC, Pluto retrograde begins at 5 degrees Aquarius. And this is arguably the biggest transit of the month. Pluto retrograde is not like Mercury retrograde. It's an outer planet, so it's slower. And because it's Pluto, it makes it much more psychological instead of just being mental, and it's much more internal. Now, because Pluto stations retrograde before moving backwards, the energy becomes stronger. Themes around control, future fears, group dynamics, technology, social media exhaustion, identity shifts, social detachment, or even power within communities and friendships. These are all being highlighted during Pluto retrograde, which is from May 6th all the way up until October 15th, 2026. Now, Aquarius placements in fixed signs are going to be feeling this the most intensely. Obviously, Aquarius, because Pluto is being retrograde in your sign, highlighting whatever placement you have in Aquarius. That could be your rising sign, that could be your sun sign, but if it's in your personal planets, that's really where you're going to feel it the most. Same thing with those of you that have Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio placements, which are also fixed signs. And if you have those within 3 to 8 degrees, that's also going to be super important. Everyone that I'm mentioning here that's going to be especially targeted, not because there's anything wrong with you, but simply because you have either a similar sign or modality to what's going on in the sky. You will definitely benefit from checking out the specific posts that I make for each of these big transits that I'm mentioning in this overview. That will be on Patreon. And I probably will end up putting them on YouTube. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but we'll get there. Now, this transit is really asking you guys, the retrograde in Pluto, or Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, is asking you, where are you trying to force an outcome? Where are you afraid to evolve? What social identity are you outgrowing? And which version of yourself no longer fits the future? This is going to be a great Pluto retrograde for you guys because I actually have a great collab that I'm doing with Pluto's Muse, her channel, and she's going to be doing a collab with me to touch on the next 6 to 7 months while Pluto retrograde is going down in Aquarius. So I will drop that video here if you guys want to check it out. I'm going to put it probably as a card in the video and also in the description box too. Because it's staying retrograde until October 15th, this is not a quick emotional realization. This is months of psychological restructuring, social reevaluation, identity evolution, and reclaiming power. A lot of people will slowly distance themselves from whether it's old friend groups, outdated goals, performative online identities, or even environments that just no longer reflect who they are becoming. The Taurus New Moon happens on May 16th. Now, this is the best stabilization point of the entire month. After the emotional purging of the Pluto retrograde starting, the pressure connected to that, this Taurus New Moon is really going to ask us, what are we actually building? So that's talking about money, our routines, our physical health, stability, consistency, comfort, and long-term security. This is an excellent energy for financial resets, budgeting days, changing your eating habits on this day. Could also work for you because it's a day where the energy is already going to be supporting that. The reason why I do these forecasts is because not only do I think the astrology is important, but it's really increasing the awareness so you're aware of the timing because timing is everything. I'm going to break down the exact transits on the specific days that I feel like are the best days for social events or intimacy communication days. What are the best days for that? What are the best days to schedule your health appointments, etc. So if you want to check stuff like that out, it's on my Patreon and it's underneath the membership. It's the Astro tier. Now, this is, like I said, excellent energy for improving your sleep, grounding your nervous system, and building routines that will actually last. Earth signs benefit from this energy on the new moon strongly, or strongest. So that's Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn placements. But fixed signs overall will feel this deeply because Taurus energy opposes the instability that Pluto in Aquarius is creating right now. We go from a day that allows us to stabilize and think practically about our future and our habits to Mercury entering Gemini on the 17th the next day. So everything speeds up from here during the rest of May. Conversations are increasing, movement increases, people are becoming more social, mentally active, curious, perhaps even distracted and reactive. So this transit favors things like content creation, networking, teaching, writing, short trips, um, announcements, social media growth, as well as studying. But mentally, it can also become overstimulating quite fast with Mercury being in Gemini. So people may struggle with focus, overthinking, anxiety, scattered priorities, or even information overload at the same time. So that's why it's important for you guys to take advantage of me giving you those special dates for the month to do every little thing, whether that's health, um, finance, etc., so that you don't really have to worry about this sped up energy affecting you for the next, almost month that Mercury stays in Gemini. Now, Gemini placements, however, you're going to become highly activated, as well as Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces being mutable signs. Mars enters Taurus the next day on May 18th. This slows physical action and initiation, but it also increases persistence within people. So, this stubborn determination energy, people become less impulsive and more focused on money, physical comfort, survival, security, and tangible progress. But frustration can build internally because Mars does not move quickly in Taurus, and Taurus is an earth sign. So, this can produce suppressed anger, passive aggression, burnout from overworking, um, people that are just refusing to adapt and digging their heels in emotionally. That can happen. But the positive side is that it's an excellent time for long term consistency to be built. It's not a time for fast motivation, but for steady motivation. For my Cancer placements, especially, or water signs, this placement you might want to listen up for. Venus is entering Cancer on May 18th. This is the same day that we experience Mars entering Taurus. So this softens the month emotionally after all the fixed sign pressure. Venus in Cancer increases the emotional sensitivity, the nostalgia, the protectiveness, our desire for genuine care and affection, as well as emotional safety. So, relationship themes become more emotional and family oriented during this season. People are craving comfort and reassurance and softness, as well as emotional reciprocity in their relationships and in their connections. So, this transit is increasing spending connected to home, family, food, comfort items, and emotional coping, especially. So, if you have Cancer placements or water sign placements, be careful when it comes to stuff like that, but also take advantage of being tapped into what you need most in those areas, and do what makes most sense for you financially as well as emotionally. Gemini season starts on May 20th. The month shifts from how do I stabilize, the Taurus season energy, to what's next? I'm ready. The pace becomes faster socially and mentally. So expect more communication, like I said, news, movement, multitasking, curiosity, as well as plans changing and sudden conversations. This is a highly active nervous system energy time as well. So people who have been isolated emotionally earlier in May, they begin reconnecting mentally during this time. May 23rd, we have our first quarter moon in Virgo at the 2nd degree. So this is productive reality check energy. This Virgo first quarter moon is asking you what still needs fixing, what system is inefficient, and what are you avoiding practically. It's an excellent time for organizing your life, catching up on work, catching up on things that you need to put together. What is it? Labeling the files in your computer? Is it backing things up on your phone? Is it something that has to do with your health routine? Is it meal prepping that day? Is it editing your plans for the next month or couple of weeks? cleaning up the schedule, improving your habits. That's what the first quarter moon in Virgo is giving the opportunity to do, towards mid start to be the end of May. So this is less emotional energy and more functional. The next moon phase, the major one that we're going to experience in May, is the full moon in Sagittarius at the 9th degree on the 31st. So it's at the very end of the month, and it is actually the blue moon that we experience once a year. You know that saying, once in a blue moon? That is the month where we experience 2 full moons in 1 month. We had a full moon in Scorpio on May 1st, and right at the end of the month, on the 31st, we've got our full moon in Sagittarius at the 9th degree, or at 9 degrees of Sag. So this closes out the month with expansion energy. It's truth, it's movement, it's perspective shifts, okay? So after all the fixed sign heaviness that kind of makes us stick our heels in, feel a little stubborn, try to be more practical, keep this, leave that, blah, blah, blah. Sagittarius energy just wants the freedom. It doesn't even really want to, fixate on all of that too much. So the themes around truth, travel, perspective, belief systems, education, honesty, the direction of the future, that is what comes to the forefront. A lot of people realize by the end of May, when the 31st happens and this full moon in Sag is happening at the 9th degree, they've outgrown something. They need a different environment. They need more freedom mentally or physically, and they can't keep shrinking themselves emotionally. So mutable signs feel this the strongest. That is Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces placements, especially if you have them between the 6th degree and the 12th degree. So this full moon feels liberating compared to the Scorpio full moon that we had at the beginning of the month, which exposed emotional truth. It's kind of helping us a little bit more with the things that we're outgrowing, as opposed to just putting it in front of our face, which can be emotional, which can be exposing, which can be hard for some, So the end of May helps people move forward from that.